If you're a single man over 40 looking for a relationship but not using dating sites, where do you go to search for your potential partner? Let me know.
Welcome to The Wall. In today's video, we'll explore why many women say they don't have children and delve into their reasons for not choosing to have them. We'll address a question from a woman asking others who haven't had children about their lives, particularly their experiences with singleness in their 40s, 50s, and beyond. Before we begin, we want to thank you for being here. Your support means a lot to us. If you enjoy what you see, we invite you to subscribe to the channel and give us a thumbs up. We'd also love to hear about your experiences in the comments. Your engagement helps us grow and reach more people. Thank you for being a part of our project. Let's get started.
Child-free women over 40. Question. Do you regret, truthfully, do you regret your child-free by choice decision? I'm asking you, honestly and openly, because that's what misogynistic men say to child-free by choice women. Wait till you're 40, wait till you're 50. Like some mystic Meg, they apparently can see into the future of child-free by choice women. And even though the stats actually have proven, this is not opinion, this is fact, that child-free by choice unmarried women are the happiest subgroup of people in the population, they still don't want to believe it. So let's actually ask child-free by choice women, do they truly regret their decision? And let's see and go from there. Stitch this or leave a comment below.
This was an article that came out a long time ago with no study behind it. Besides, women are happier single. If you ask me, I think I would say it depends on the woman. If it's the influence of Instagram selling us their great life, but in their real life, they see something else happening. For example, it's not the same for a single woman in her 40s who was a beauty in her youth, still looks good at that age, and earns more than $80,000 a year. With no expenses, she'll live her life in a superficial way. Perhaps she'll always appear happy from the outside. Now, what happens when that woman is the opposite? She's unattractive and poor. At 40, she's even uglier, tired from work, with a lamentable life, ending up in therapy taking antidepressants. What they don't say is that the biggest consumers of antidepressants are women. Adult content increased by 29% in women, according to the most viewed page. The business of fertilization and sperm sales is growing, leaving millions to doctors. Who buys these services? Women. So, how can they be so happy if they have to resort to this to stay normal at 40? The Wall doesn't forgive.
I have a question, and it's a very specific question, and if this doesn't apply to you, then please scroll past. But if you are 40s and up, so 40s, 50s, 60s, even more than that, if you are 40s and up and a woman, or even a woman with a partner who has gone their entire life childless, please tell me what your life is like now, because I've been told multiple times by family members, family friends, sometimes friends, but pretty rarely, that once I get older and I can't have kids anymore, or I choose not to have kids, once I get older, I'm going to see my friends have kids, and I'll either be jealous that I'm not having kids that are interacting with them, or that I'll lose out on something, or that, I'll be older and I'll be sad because I don't have, children around me and grandchildren. I need to know from someone who I envision myself being later on in life. I need to know specifically from someone who is, either in their 40s or beyond, either around that age or retiring or whatever, that you are either happy with your life, or give me the cold hard truth. Let me know how you feel. I want to know, do you feel like you lost out? Do you feel like you're confident and happy with your choice? I want to know the actual truth on this, because I'm tired of having that same thing told to me, and I need to know from somebody else what their thoughts are on that, and if I'm going to be missing out on something. And because at this point in my life, I don't want kids, and it could change. Tell me if you think you made the right decision.
I'll answer your question with a question. How would you like to die? Alone in a hospital in old age, needing care for an illness with no support, seeing at 70, if you're not healthy, that you're a person nobody visits? Or be the woman whose husband and children are by your hospital bed, watching over you because they love you, the woman who sees her grandchildren and children, whom she raised to be good people in society, the person who wasn't sent to a nursing home but stayed at home with her children and grandchildren because you're an important part of their lives, dying knowing that you've left behind an entire generation. That's what you should ask yourself, because many women only show you what they want to sell you. As they say, if you start believing everything you see on social media, you'll start feeling depressed because you don't have that life of travel and luxury they sold you on Instagram. But what they don't tell you is that only 5% of the population can do that. The other 95% of the world can't even afford to travel within their own country. If you don't believe me, look at the following women by age range who ended up alone, and tell me if their lives were grand.
Question, and it's a very specific question, and
So I've been thinking about this ever since I saw it a couple of days ago, so much that I decided to record my very first TikTok. So the question is for women in their 40s and up who made a choice not to have children. What are our lives like now? And so like this is what my life is like now. Cute little baby snuggling. But really, the real answer that I've been sort of thinking about is one of the things you hear the most when you decide not to have children is, well, who will take care of you when you get older, or who will be with you when you pass, make sure your aging isn't lonely, all of that. And as I was starting to really decide whether or not I wanted to have children, the thought struck me that if that's the only reason you want to have children, because you want somebody to be there for you as you age, that's very selfish. But then I also thought that that's also, you can't control any of those things. Like, there's no guarantee that if your child, if you have a child, will live past you, want or be able to take on the responsibility of taking care of you, want to have a relationship with you, all of that. So then over the years, I've just spent a lot of time thinking about, like, what can I control about my life? What do I want? What do I want my life to be like? And it's sort of like cultivating all of these small moments every day that are truly aligning with like my values and fulfilling for me. It feels a bit like a lot of like mindfulness philosophies where I get to invest fully and solely in my peace and what makes me happy and feel fulfilled, without having to think about anybody else. And I get to try to control those small everyday moments that will help my life be fulfilled, when much of, not to say that for other people having a child isn't very fulfilling, but there's a lot that you can't control about what that provides to your life. So I get to focus on what I can control as much as I can. I hope that made sense. Bye.
Many people say that typical phrase that having children is only about thinking who will take care of you when you grow old. But the reality is that having children is much more than expecting someone to wipe your backside when you're old. It's about knowing that you raised someone with values, knowing that your genes continue to exist in generations, knowing that there's a man or woman who was part of your family, who now makes you part of the one they formed. It's about living great moments with your children, because apparently, people talk about how tired they are, but rarely do you see a parent say they wish they didn't have them. This is only said by those who never had one. Also, here's another thing about the deception these women sell. If a poor man tells you he wasn't rich because he didn't want to be, but you see that he has no talent, no university degree, would you believe that was true? Of course not, because that person wasn't even close to it. The same thing happens with a woman who doesn't have a marriage or a partner by 40 and says she never wanted children. That decision was made by you and your partner, or it was something life forced you to choose. Because it's not the same, right? The wall doesn't forgive, because many say they don't want children, but end up raising expenses and dogs. They treat them as if they were their children, even dressing them up. Now, that's something really crazy.
53 years old and I don't have kids. This comes with every type of response you could imagine. But who's going to take care of you when you get old? That's what we're put on this earth for. You're so selfish. You don't know true joy until you have a child. What do you do with all your free time? Do you regret it now that you're older? The simple answer is no. I understand people say things with the best of intention and perhaps based off what works for their lives. But many women have chosen not to have children or can't have them. All of us have a different path. I love children, and I think I would have been an amazing mom, but I have no regrets at all. I have an incredible nephew, I mentor younger women, I have a big loving family, and a fulfilled life. My worth in this world is more than just any one title, and yours is too.
Who's that Pokemon?
Now we see the typical woman who achieved success, changed her entire love life for career success. But what she doesn't tell you is that she went through 2 divorces, probably for this reason. These are the ones who live on the carousel, living their lives just spinning around money, living superficially, jumping from one relationship to another in their lives. They're the typical spinster aunt described in movies, going from one wealthy man to another, with a great career and house. I won't say that being single with financial success is bad, but it's empty. I bet she'll take antidepressants, or has already had to go to therapy at some point in her life. I assure you, many of those around her are people who seek or receive some benefit from her. Like every single woman without children, I assure you she's a feminist. Just hearing that she's a mentor tells me everything. She's spreading her misery. Brothers, the wall doesn't forgive. Don't be fooled. Look at how these women end up in the next video.
Do you have kids?
No.
Do you get shit from people for not having kids?
I don't get shit. You get attitude. I just don't pay that much attention to it. Yeah, it's always weird, especially because I've worked in transnational feminist work for most of my life for the past 50 years, and so I travel a lot all over the world, and especially in other cultures. You know, New York is very different, right? But in other places you go and the first question people ask you as a woman is, how many kids do you have? You know, where are your kids? And so that's not shit, but it's an expectation that you have to constantly be saying, I don't have kids, and then, you know, people are kind of thinking, what's wrong with you? But yeah.
Have you heard of transnational feminists? I had never heard of this, but what I understand is that they live spreading their misery across the country. In other words, she couldn't have children, so now she's ensuring that others don't either. When you see people saying, I live traveling, when they're single, it's because they don't have any stability. They always have to be changing places. These are the ones whose friends got married and started distancing themselves. They're the ones who have to join different activities, usually feminist ones, just to have something to do. Or they're the ones who constantly complain about anything a man does. The wall doesn't forgive. If these are the people they call the happiest in the world, then happiness has become impoverished. Do you think that woman with children would have traveled so much or gotten into feminism? Because most feminists over 30 are usually women without husbands, and most of them don't have sons. Every woman has access to interactions with men in her life, whether it's brothers, sons, fathers, or husbands. They never belong to this movement. Why do you think that is? I've already told you, they always envy what they can't have. The wall doesn't forgive. We've reached the end of the video, but before we go, the questions are for you. How many women have you met who decided not to have children? How is life going for the women you know who didn't have children or a husband? If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. Your support means the world to us and motivates us to create more content. Stay tuned for the next exciting video from The Wall.